here. But main thing that we're going to do, we got about 45 minutes hard, be 40 minutes, 45 minutes hard. Just I think about my 75 hard with my 45 minutes. I got to walk and do workout. So, but we got a little less than 40 minutes here. We're going to talk about open houses. Mike's been in the industry for over 3 years, and he has done over, I don't even know how many. I put 150. He said to me 138. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you've done over 150 at some point in your career, and well over that. You're somebody who knows the open houses inside out and backwards. And we have a lot of agents here that are just either A, new, B, trying to find a niche, tell me that they don't like cold calls and they're better in front of people face to face. And open houses is that strategy, and you've mastered that open house strategy. How much money, just on the top of your head, do you think you've made in open houses?
Well, if you take last year, which was 2020, if I remember off my memory, I had 7 closed transactions, and I want to say the gross GCI on that was around 50 to 55,000.
So $55,000. How many of you would like to have $55,000 by spending a couple hours meeting and greeting these people, when that's just one component of his business? And now a lot of these people are becoming his past they are becoming his past clients, but becoming referrals. They're calling him up out of the blue saying, hey, I have somebody who wants to buy or sell real estate. We are now getting back into it. We want investment property. So let's kind of look into what made you decide to do open houses, Mike? What is open houses your thing?
Well, so I moved here to Charlotte about, I guess it would be about 4 or 5 years ago, and I knew no one. So when I got into real estate, I was told, and rightfully so, that you have to have contacts. You've got to generate contacts, and there's multiple different ways to go about doing that. Some of them are, you could call for sale by owners, withdrawn expired. You could do circle prospecting. You could do door knocking. You could do open houses. And so after looking at everything, I thought, since I have no sphere here, probably the best thing that I felt most comfortable with would be to build my contact list by doing open houses. So that's why I decided to go in that direction.
Okay, makes sense. And just to go a quick side item, just to let everybody know, I have my 3-year-old home with me. So if he decides to come into action here and onto the screen, just know that I will mute myself so we can have it. He will be a little bit of a distraction, but they canceled his school, so I have him with me. So you might see him bebop in there. So anyways, all right. So that's why you did it. You need to build contacts. You've been needing to build a pipeline for you to be able to do that. And you also knew that consistency of doing one a month was not going to be the answer. So how many were you doing a month for your consistency? How did you build your numbers, or what was your plan?
So when I started, and it was a learning process, and that's why I'm kind of here, because I pretty much had to learn it all on my own. But once I kind of got the feel for what I was doing, what I realized is I was getting between 3 to 5 contacts off every open house I did. So once I started being able to get the numbers to work, to say, okay, out of how many people that come in, contacts I make, how many of those are unrepresented buyers that I could do? How many of them are serious? How many can I turn into clients? And then how many I can turn into transactions? Then I did the math backwards, and I said, therefore, based on those numbers, if I want to achieve this, how many open houses do I have to, hi Bryce, how many open houses do I have to do? So for me to get to where I wanted, I said, I want to do 5 open houses a weekend. That was my goal. Now, I couldn't do 5 a weekend. If you do the math, that's 260 a year. And I got to a little bit over half that, because nobody works the weekend and Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. There's going to be some weekends you don't get 5, but my goal was to do 5, and I hit that a lot. So I set it up to do Saturday from 11 to 1, 2 to 4, 5 to 7. Sunday was 12 to 2 and 3 to 5.
Did you find out, not to cut you off, but when a lot of people ask me that question, like the best times, based off of your scenario and doing it so much, did you find one time works better than the other?
So not really, you know, I kind of tracked it for a while. And for a while there, it was like, hey, I was seeing more on Saturdays. But then again, all of a sudden, it's like now all of a sudden Sundays were coming up. Here's what I did find. Holiday weekends, no, they're dogs. And here's the other thing. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have the Panthers. Game day, no, you're not going to get anything. So if you have a big sporting thing that distracts people, I'm not saying don't do it, but your turnout's going to be a lot lighter. And I've heard people say, well, you know, holiday weeks, you know, people are off, they're doing this. My experience is they don't come to open houses in numbers they would when it's not a holiday. So I just said, I'm taking holidays off. It isn't worth it.
Are you strategizing anything different now because of the way your inventory is now?
Well, sure, because you can't get open houses, because what's happening is the minute you get a listing, and here's a great example happening. So I have a listing that we went coming soon last night because they're going to do carpet, and we're going to go live on Thursday, which is today's Wednesday, in 8 days. I've been told I have 3 offers coming in sight unseen. So you literally cannot keep a good house, good listing on the market long enough to do an open house. So I've had to adjust how I go about building my pipeline and getting my contacts done. So open houses are really tough. I would say this year, total through 8 months, I might have done 10 to 15 open houses all year because they're just not there.
Yeah, and that's what we see a lot of right now, is that it's not taking shape in the time period. So tell me a little bit about, as we prepare for the open house, what time during the week are you starting to do open house? Let's just say you got a back in the day, you got a really good open house. When would you, yes, this is the mentality I have of like, no excuses, no matter what, I'm doing this open house, this event. Talk to me and tell me, like, what during the week, what time period, like when do you start doing open house? Because a lot of people just do it like, oh, I got open house Saturday from 1 to 3, and they start working Saturday morning. Like, what does your week look like when you got an open house?
Okay.
How does that look like?
So let me talk a little bit about the process. So this is how I do it. And again, do what works good for you. So I am actually, when the market's normal, let's go back to a normal market, because this is not a normal market, but it'll get back there. It's already starting to shift. It will get there. But in a normal market, what I do is I'm selective on my open houses. Here's what I'm looking for. I don't want an open house for a listing that's been on the market for 4, 5, 6 months. I don't want that. I don't want an open house on a house that is out in a rural area where people are probably not going to want to come to going to do it. But I will tell everybody here, when I first started, I thought, 250,000, 275, that's where I want to stay because I feel comfortable with them. I know those people. Wrong. You want to go all the way and do open houses all the way up to $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 houses. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared. So I'm looking for not a stale listing. The other thing is, I don't really care if it's overpriced, but if it's so ridiculously overpriced, and I've seen those, people aren't even going to come out to that. So once I choose them, the ones that I want, then I set them up in a geographical location, because this is key. I do a 2-hour window because I feel like if people want to come see it, they'll work around your schedule. I give 1 hour in between, which means I got to leave and lock that door and have the next one open and ready within 60 minutes. So geographically, you got to watch where you're scheduling them, and you have to put that in a way that you can make sure you got time to get from A to B. So that's important too. So what I do then is usually by Tuesday, Wednesday, I know which ones I'm going to do. We send them to our marketing person. It's her job to see that it gets out on all the social media sites. It gets into the MLSs, whatever she does. I don't know what she does, but that's her job to make sure it gets marketed out. And then what I do on Friday afternoons, I load all the signs in my car. I go out on Friday, set all the signs up and do everything. And then I'm ready to go on Saturday and Sunday.
Tell me about that sign placement, because signs are very, very important. I feel agents, and I say this nicely to all the real estate agents, but we just do a poor job of doing sign placement. And I do think that there's some strategies behind sign placement with numbers, the distance between major intersections, not to put them right on top of each other or right in top of like where the intersection's taking place. Those are some of the key ingredients I always look for, but share with people like sign placement, maybe using Google Earth to be able to help so you can count the number of signs. I've also asked maybe the owners, like, hey, you've lived around here. What are some popular intersections? But share with us sign placement, because I see too many people drives me insane where I go to the house, the open house, and they have like 3 or 4 signs there, a flag, balloons. I'm like, guys, the house says for sale. Like, it's pretty obvious where the house is. You don't need more. You don't need a lot of signs there. You need more outside your area, the distance, and to be able to draw on that traffic. So talk to me a little bit about sign placement.
Okay. So first of all, you start from the mindset that you are there because you want to get leads. So you're not there because you had nothing better to do with your day. So you don't take it serious. You want people to come there because just exactly what Brock said, because you're there to try and generate business. Here's a news flash. You're not there to sell the house. You would like to sell the house. Yes. And I used to say that's never happened to me, but it just recently this year did happen to me, where somebody walked in and they put an offer and they bought that house. I was shocked. But you would like that to happen. That's not your goal. Your goal is to get you leads. And what you tell your clients is, listen, I'm here because a lot of people say, I don't do open houses because you don't get buyers at open houses. And then they're shocked when I say, well, of course you don't. That's not why we're doing an open house. And people look at you like you have 2 heads. I said, why we have an open house is because we want people to come through and see your house. We need feedback. We need people's opinion of your house. We need the looky-loosies to come through, the nosy neighbors to come through, because I'll talk to them and say, tell me what you like. Part of my script is, before you leave, could you please give me 3 things that you really love about this house and 3 things that if you could change, you would change. Whether it's you'd have to wave a magic wand to make the yard much bigger, whatever, I don't care. So I tell the seller, my job here is, yes, I would like to sell your house, but I want to give you feedback, because if your house has been on the market 2 or 3 or 4 weeks and you're confused, like, I don't know why we're getting offers. By the time I get done with your open house, I'm going to tell you exactly why you're not getting offers. It's going to be the condition of the walls, the color of the paint, the carpet is ratty, or things you can't control. Hey, this yard goes back 10 feet and drops into a 20-foot ravine, and everybody's like, I'm not getting this because of the yard. Now, you can't change that, but at least you know. So that's why I'm here doing this open house. So now you're there because you want to get the leads. So in order to do that, you drive as many people there as you can. I don't do marketing. I assume she does a great job. I'm happy with that. My job on sign placements is to say, I want people driving by to see this. So here's what I do. Number 1, you have a big sign in the front yard. I already have a for sale sign. I put an open house sign, has the header time on it. At every intersection coming in, whether it's one way in or 2 ways in, I put smaller signs, you know, the ones that are about, yay big if you can see my hands, and they have directions on them, and it has open house. I don't put the time headers on there because they have a way of blowing away. But here's the key. There's probably a main road that turns into that subdivision. So off that main road, it's probably not a 10 or 15 mile an hour road. It's probably 40 to 55 miles an hour. So at the very entrance on the driver's side, I then put large signs like you would have in the yard. So that's 3 large and however many small you need at every intersection. And then what I do, and this is key, and most agents don't do this, studies were shown, and they said, if a vehicle is traveling at 55 miles an hour, it takes about 4 seconds for a person's eyes to recognize something, process what it is, and then react to it. So we also want to put signs out, and if you do the math on it, and somebody's traveling at 50 miles an hour, we know you need to go about 100 yards down the road. So we go 100 yards in each direction. I put the smaller signs because I'm
going to stop you right there, because I hope people listen to that. It drives me crazy. Don't put the signs right at the intersection. It's too late. And by the time they get past there, And if there's traffic, they're gonna be like, honey, let's not even turn around. That means I got to turn
Yes.
because they're not going to do it. You want to increase your percentages. And that's why I want to make sure people understand is like 100 yards. That's when you need to put the signs. So if they got to get in the left lane, they have time to get in the left lane. If they got to get in the right lane, if they want to be like, honey, did you see that? Is that the area you want? Yeah, hurry up, quickly go. They have that time to make those decisions. And that's such a key point. I'm so happy that you said that, is because a lot of people they put them on top of each other. Like I always think of new churches. Churches do a phenomenal job. When there's a new church or a new restaurant, those people have signs and they start like, a quarter of a mile. So I 100% agree with you on that.
So when I'm putting it out, and this is where he's exactly right, they get a little bit lazy. I will literally take that sign and I will count 300 steps. That is about 100 yards for me. And when I get to 300, that's where the sign goes. And again, it's because when they're driving past, usually one of the couples can say, hey, did you see that sign? Was that the open house? Well, I don't know. I think it's coming up ahead. And in that 4 seconds, they're already slowing down. And so there you go. So number one, don't skimp on signs. Now, I will tell you, I'm not big into the balloons and the streamers and all that. If you want to do that, you can. But here's what I'm saying. Most successful agents, here's a shocker, ready? Most successful agents don't do open houses because they don't need that. Because again, I'm getting to a point in my career where I'm getting a lot more referrals and all this. So I'm getting to where I won't need to do that. Who needs to do open houses? Newer agents who need to build those leads up. Unfortunately, as a newer agent, let's be honest, you feel like everybody's got their hand in your back pocket. So now it's like, okay, I'm gonna go out and do open houses. I'm gonna get helium balloons. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this. And by the time I walk away, I'm gonna end up having paid X amount per open house times 5. This is gonna break me. So I say this to the newer agents to say, you don't have to go out and put up balloons. You don't have to go do streamers. So just put the signs, which your team should be supplying, unless you're an individual agent. Get a sign. And in my opinion, look at the signs. Keep them simple. Don't get them real flashy where somebody driving by at 55 miles an hour says, I don't know, I think it was a roofing sign or a political sign or something like that. So that's my thing on signs.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. And another thing, I'm going to give you the advanced version. So one of the things I would tell people when you're doing signs, so you do it the day before. So or if you have an open house on Sunday, are you doing it Saturday or are you doing it still on Friday?
I'm doing it on Friday. And here's a note. Some HOAs, you got to be careful that they don't like your signs going out and they'll have sign restrictions. So if I know that, always put them out on Friday afternoons. I put them out after 5 o'clock because usually they'll let you slide after 5 o'clock. If you start out at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Friday and you're putting them into a restricted HOA area, yeah, our signs are about, the nice metal ones are about $90, and you lose 2 or 3 of those and you're an independent agent, that gets, well, even if you're not, if you're on a team, though, it starts to get painful. But my point is, you want to put them out Friday afternoon into late afternoon so that you're not losing signs. And then what I do is I put the riders on that day for the Saturday ones. And if I'm duplicating that specific location on a Sunday, all I will do is after Saturday is just switch the headers. And then big note, make sure you pick your signs up on Sunday, because if you don't, they ain't going to be there on Monday. So you will lose a lot of money. So, yeah.
And the other thing with signs, like I tell people, like, listen, we're trying to generate business. This is what you do in open houses. So when you're going to put open house signs up in a subdivision, 2 things that you should do, encourage you to do. Not a lot of people do this because it's just a lot of time, but hell, you're trying to generate business. This is why you're out there. Is when you're out there, go door knock. You're already in the neighborhood. You're already putting signs up around there. Go door knock. The goal is to door knocking in at least 20 to 25 homes, sharing with people that your neighbor is doing an open house and you're already there. So plan on being an hour out there to do the open house, to share about your open houses. Secondly, the thing to do is there's a lot of times you're putting in an open house sign, a directional, on the corner lot of somebody's personal property, right? Wouldn't you say that, Mike? You've been on people's personal property quite a bit to put up these signs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they're a corner lot. So I'm pretty sure they're not the only person that's putting up these open house signs. So one of the things to do is have a thank you card and to place it to the owner and share with them, as well as maybe just personally knocking on the door and asking them, saying like, hey, is it okay that we put an open house sign on your property? We are listing one of your neighbors. Majority of the time they will say, because I used to do this back in the day, because I heard this from another coaching event that I was at, and they will say what? I said, I just wanted to see if I could put one of these open house signs on your yard here. It's on the corner there by the stop sign. Do you realize you're the first person who's ever asked me to go do this? Nobody ever asks me to put signs in my house because it's on the corner. So I have signs there all the time. You know what? I really appreciate you asking me. Yes, sir. By all means, you certainly can. And then when I was done picking up the signs, I put a thank you card and I wrote it to him, and I put my business card saying, if you ever need anything, please let me know. I appreciate you helping me. I will be more than happy to give you a free home valuation on your property. I picked up 2 deals doing that, of somebody reaching out when they were getting ready to sell their house, because nobody else did that. And I knew for sure there'd be other people doing that, putting up open houses there. So I separated myself in reference to that. So I just 2 things when you're doing out signs, to do some extra things of letting people know. That's what you're there for, is to get business. So Mike, tell me before I share with it, we got about 12 more minutes here. Tell me, and this Facebook Live is really entertaining with Bryce here. Tell me, like, let's just walk through like the open house now. So what are you bringing any paperwork? What are you preparing when you go to your open house? Because
No,
I know we differentiate on this. So tell me what you're bringing to the open house.
I bring my laptop, and that's what I bring. So real quickly then, I don't bring a sign-in sheet because I tried the line of, hey, the sellers want to know who walks through their house, and the sellers want to do that. First of all, if you could even legibly read what people write, most often it's invalid. It's Mickey Mouse at gmail.com. And it's 555-555-5555 is my phone number. So they'll put that in there. And the third thing is, even if they leave their information and you go to call them, they're like, why are you calling me? I just left my information because you told me I had to give a record of who was here. So I'm telling you that doesn't work. So what does work is honesty. So when you come in and you say, when somebody walks into your open house, you're trying to get 4 pieces of information from them. Number 1, you want to get their name. You want to get their address to find out if they need to sell. If it's a rental, it's not that big of a deal. You want their email address, and you want their phone number. So how you do that is, here's my corny line. I have everything on a laptop. Again, that way there's no paper. I don't have to worry about any additional expense, nor do I deal with snacks and water and all that, because I used to do that. Nobody ever took them except the little kids, and then they would leave crumbs everywhere and people get mad. So I don't spend any money. So I put it all on the computer. And then what will happen? I'm telling you, this will happen. People will come in here and they'll either say, yes, I'm interested in this house. Do you have a flyer or something? And I kind of chuckle and I say, seriously, we're in Charlotte. We're probably the most liberal city in the South. So we try to protect the trees. So what we do is we're high tech. So what I'll do is I'll just email it over to you. That way you have it, you can open right on your phone. You have to worry about losing a paper. Does that make sense? Sure. Okay. So I come over here and I take either my phone or I take the laptop. I said, let me go ahead and I'll send it. What's your name again? John Doe. Got it. And what's your email address? Your email address is johndoe@gmail.com. Okay, great. So John, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a text real quick so you know who I am, because my phone number has a 205 area code, which is Alabama, and nobody wants to answer a call from Alabama here in North Carolina. So I'm going to send you a text so you know it's from me and who's got it. So go ahead and give me your phone number so I can send that text over, and they give me their phone number and all that. So here's what happened. I just got 3 out of the 4 pieces of information. And somewhere in that conversation, I found out if they were owning, and I would already ask them what they were planning on doing. And now if I knew that and they're not renting, I would have then said, I'll go ahead and email you a property valuation. I have my 4 points of information that I want. And I do that by not having a sign-in sheet. And I get everybody in here and I know it's good information, because when I send them the text, it won't go through. Say, oh, the text didn't go through. I must have put the wrong number in. Or, oh, the email kicked back. So you know you got good information. Once I have that information, this is the key. The key is all about the follow-up. So here's what I do. So I tell them, I'm going to send you the text. So I usually have a list, and on when I'm done with my open houses, I'm going to text everybody that I said I was going to text. So that's my first touch. My second touch is what I'm going to do is follow up with an email. And I tell them, hey, make sure you got whatever information I sent you. Did you get the copy of the flyer thing I sent you? So follow up with an email. Or if I told you I was going to send you a CMA, if I told you I was going to do that, that's my second touch. My third touch, and I hope you all are listening, is on Monday. My Mondays were my thank you card days because I have a coach that keeps hammering on sending out note cards. So there's my go-to. So on Mondays, I use his postage and his thank you cards, and I write out, thank you for coming by the open house. It's a pleasure meeting you. Here's my next plan of action. That was my third touch. And by Wednesday or Thursday, they would have received the thank you. They've already got the text and the email. So I'm following up on Thursday, maybe Friday, and I'm saying, hey, this is Mike. I sent you that. Did you get that? What did you think? Did you want to go look at that other house? Was there any more interest in this house? Blah, 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 blah. That's my 4 touches. After that, we use KV Core as a database management system. I have an open house campaign that has 8 separate touches. I just drop them in there. They get another 8 touches. And then that's how I do it. So really quick, each open house, you should get 3 to 5 leads off of that. If you're doing 5 a weekend, you're getting 15 to 25 leads. Out of those 15 to 25, you're getting about 6 to 8, what I call quality leads, which are generally unrepresented buyers or somebody who's not committed to an agent. They just talked to an agent. They didn't sign anything. Out of those 6 to 8, you're going to have 1 to 2 good leads. And a good lead is somebody says, I'm an unrepresented buyer. I'm looking in the market now. I'm either gotten pre-approved or I'm ready to get pre-approved and I'm ready to rock and roll. So your goal in getting those 15 to 25 contacts, those touches every week, is to get 1 to 2 good leads. And I'm going to tell you then, out of 1 to 2 good leads, if you're doing that on every weekend, you're getting about 30 to 40 good leads. And my conversion rate in 2021 was 7. So you can expect 7 closed transactions of 30 to 40 good leads.
I like that. That in one of the things I like about yours is it's based off of numbers, and as well as you know exactly how many you really need to do and how many what your results are based off of that. So, and if I have time here and somebody behind me just stays quiet, we might even be able to get us a quick role play in here on open house, because that's what we talked about doing. A couple things I'm going to add to what Mike does and what I've done to help me in some of the scripts that I've used is Mike brings the laptop. I'm a paper person, so I like to have at least a copy. And I might not give it to them. I use them as a teaser, but I also share with them, especially when the market is going to shift and change, is not only do I have all the homes that are in the MLS of the home that's for sale, but I also have the homes that are for sale in that entire neighborhood. I also have all the homes that are for sale in that school zone in that same price point. And the line that I use is I say to them, because we'll talk about this in role play and how you close these people out, because at some point you ask them, what do they think about the house? And so I say to them, what do you think about the house? Do you like it? Anything I could share with the seller so that way I can let them know. And then they'll tell me whatever it is. And then I say, well, sometimes we also are aware that this house might not match it, but anything you liked in this subdivision that you liked, or anything that you liked in the same exact school district within the same price point, I have the keys for these other 6 homes that are for sale. I get out of here at 3:00 today. Would you like to take a look at 4? Now, obviously you can if you have back open houses like you do, but you have strategies in place that I could follow back up with you, especially if they say, well, I'm only here this weekend. And then you're like, okay, well, I can adjust. And I know you've taken people out, but some of the tools that I have and paperwork that I have is other homes that are in that subdivision, other homes in that same school district and in that same price point. I don't send them all the homes that are in the same zip code, because it can change, as well as I try to keep everything comparing apples to apples in reference to that. So those were 2 things that I wanted to add to it. The other thing that I also added back in the day when I was doing them is I added up a couple other landmines throughout the house, meaning I would go to the Lake Norman Chamber and I would go get their relocation packet and their visitor guides and their maps of Charlotte, and I would put them in the master bathroom. And I would have a sign-in sheet saying, if you would like a relocation packet because you're relocating to the Charlotte area, please fill out your information. I'd be more than happy to prepare you your own personalized relocation packet. I also did this in either the outside area, if there was an outside screened-in porch, or maybe like the dining room or another hot spot that I found in the house, bonus room specifically. I would put in there, if you are looking for new construction, we have a new construction packet. Please fill your form out here, and I'd be more than happy to personalize your new construction packet, because maybe they saw Lennar Homes, David Weekley, or Shea Homes that were in that same subdivision, and sometimes they'd be like, oh, we've been thinking about a new construction home. So, oh, you got more macaroni and cheese. Very good. All right, we got more macaroni and cheese here. So I would take that information, because I use the dealership mindset. When I was a child, we would go to the dealership on Sundays. Why? Because we would want to see the cars, but we weren't ready to make that initial. But if I were by ourselves without the dealer, we are more prone to engage, spend more time. So when they're by themselves looking around the house, they're more prone to like fill out some information than coming down, and because sometimes we do have that battle where some people, I'm sure you've dealt with, that don't want to fill out anything. They don't want to answer anything, and we don't even know why they're looking at that point, but they are looking and they do want to look and they don't want to fill out anything. So this just opens it up. So those were a couple key things that I used to do back in the day, to be able to try to catch their information. Your way of doing things, I feel, is it's upfront. It's not persuasive by any means, and it uses the technology piece, what I love. It looks like I might have an opportunity to role play, but Mike, anything you want to add to that and what I said before we try to sneak in a role play?
Nope, I think that's pretty good. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do here for role play is I'm just going to be one of the people coming in, and we will go through that. I'm walking through your open house. And before I begin, real quick, my mindset when I was doing an open house, okay, and still even just like in general, really, I'd say when I do an open house, like I still grad some, well, not really, but anyways, doing the open house, my mindset is I assumed that person coming through the house went through 5 open houses that day, and I want to be the best open house that they went to. So that's how my mindset was every single time somebody came in, is they've already talked to 4 other people. I'm their 5th, and I want to make sure that they remember me out of all the other homes that they went to, and how I present, what I gave them, and my value. So that was my mindset anytime somebody came into my open houses. So that's my mindset set up. Mike, here we go. I'm coming to I'm gonna knock on the door. Knock, knock.
Hey, come on in. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing excellent. So I do have to go off script here because it depends on who I'm now talking to. If I'm talking to a middle-aged man, I'm going to do this different than if I'm talking to a younger woman, an older woman, a first time, presumed to be like 20-something first time home buyer guy. So why I say this is body language, positioning are very important. So if it's a guy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to him, even in COVID, and I'm going to say, really good, how are you today? My name's Mike, and I'm going to put my hand out there to shake his hand. If it is a woman and she's by herself, here's a key. I never get within 6 feet, because it's going to intimidate a woman, because they're going to look at me and say, I'm a woman all alone in this house with this guy. I want to make her feel comfortable. So in Brock's case, I'm coming up to him, I'm shaking his hand. What I'm now going to do is see if there's something I can immediately connect on, as I'm now going to position myself, and I've learned this, between him and the door. So as we shake, and I'm kind of turning, I kind of do a Vanna White, here's the house, and I come behind him. So he now has to continue through the house. It's just body language. So if I see something I can connect, let's say he has a jersey on from a team, I'll make a comment on that just to try to break the ice. If not, I'll say, so let me ask you, what brings you out today? Are you just out looking because of the beautiful weather, or are you in the market to buy a house?
So we were driving around. My wife's actually with the kids right now shopping, and I had a little bit of time, and I've been meaning to come down the subdivision and take a look at it. It's something that we've had on our forecast. So I just happened to saw an open house sign while I was driving towards Target.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So are you looking for this specific subdivision or just this area of town? Or are you just anywhere and just happen to see this one?
Well, I've always wanted to come back this way. I just think it's kind of off the beaten path, and I've always seen the
Okay.
subdivision. They got the larger acre, the
Yeah.
larger land here. And so I wanted just to take a look at it and see and be able to say that I even went inside the property was even great because we
Huh.
drive through it, but I really want to take a look inside of it.
So where are you living at right now?
We're in Northstone Country Club right
Okay.
now.
So the reason you're moving here is because you want to go to there. So do you own or do you rent there in Northstone?
We own.
Oh, okay. So what's your time frame looking that you're looking to move for? Is it something you're going to do really quickly or is it really down the road yet?
I mean, it could be anything. I mean, my wife really. I mean, we talk about the idea, but she's not set in stone on that, and so that's it. And listen, I don't even know if you got anybody else in the house here. If you got to go talk to
No,
them, like please.
no, I will. Yeah, no problem. No, right now, I just thank you for coming in because it's been kind of a slow day. I just might talk your ear off. So just say, hey, I got to go, whatever. So, no, I just curious. See, so if you found the right house, it's something you would be able to move on. If you found the one you like your dream home or something like that, then.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing
Okay.
holding us back. We got two kids, but it's in the same school district, so we're good to go.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I've done this enough to know that the most easiest way for this to work is I don't like to like hover over you. So you take your time, walk through the house. Um, if you have any questions, holler at me. The only thing I would ask is before you leave, if you could maybe come up with a couple of things you really liked about the house and a couple of things you're like, I didn't really like this about the house, because the sellers really like to get feedback. So they want to see it from a impartial person's eyes. So if you could just kind of take a look and see what you think and then ask any questions. So at this point, he's going to say, okay.
And I'm
If
going to do a pause right here too, because
okay.
that if like anybody, if you're taking notes, that line right there is the most important line of everything that I've heard. Now I've heard this many times, but that line, everybody, is so important because Mike has found a way when more than one person's in that house, people will come find him to tell him the thing that they've asked because he says, "Can you do me a favor?" And people will, that's a guilt line to be able to do it because they will even stop. They'll be like, honey, you're supposed to go tell him that what we liked or what we didn't like about that. Like, we can't leave without telling him. He asked us and we said yes. Like, go over there and tell him.
Yes.
It they will find you to do that. I think that line is phenomenal. Could you say it again for those taking notes down on this? What is that line that you said of before I let you go throughout the house?
Ask any questions you want. The only thing that I would ask you to do, if you do me a favor, please, before you leave, if you could pick out a couple of things that just really stood out that you really liked about this house. And then again, if there's one or two things that you're like, yeah, I really didn't care about this, even if it was like wave a magic wand, something they couldn't change, like a yard site or something, just so I could give them some feedback and tell the sellers, this is what potential buyers are looking at. And as I'm nodding my head, yes. And there's a reason why I do it this way is because now if somebody else does come in, you have to start assessing who you're going to prioritize your time with. So you've not committed to standing with this person. So if it is a nosy neighbor or a looky-loosey that just happened to be driving through, I'm still going to talk to them. But again, I'm positioned between that person and the door. So if somebody comes in, they're right there behind me. And I can figure out which way I'm going to hand off and do this.
And
So
you also notice you
go ahead.
haven't even once said, please fill out this form and sign anything.
Right. So I
Yeah.
haven't done.
Yep. I think that's phenomenal. I think, and that's the thing everybody says is they expect that. Like, guys, don't think for
Exactly.
once that buyers going into this house did not do their own scripting. Honey, whatever he says, we're not signing anything. Just say
Exactly.
you have already a real estate agent. This is our lines. These are our scripts. Like, they've already mapped this out. So don't think you're any different. The only way that they build that is you build a rapport and a trust with them during that small time period that you have. And that's why a lot of agents make the mistake of being like, oh yeah, can you please come in the kitchen and sign this, please? I need your first name, your last name, your social security number, and your name of your children. Like, it's not going to happen. You got to build a rapport first, a relationship, ask for a favor, and then you get to decide whether or not you even want to take their contact information.
So now he's walked through the house. If he's a guy, I'm probably going to follow him up the stairs if no one's there because I'm going to make small talk. If he's a woman, do not follow the woman up the stairs if you're a guy. That will freak her out. My daughter taught me that. So you stay downstairs, you talk from a distance. You got to make her feel really comfortable. Then the conversation is going to go along the lines of, so tell me, what'd you like about the house? What do you think? Oh, I this, A, B, C, D. I got my little notepad. I am making notes. So how long have you been looking? I've been looking for about a month. Oh, so you've seen this market, inventory is tight. You're aware of that. Yes. Ready? Are you working with an agent now to help you on the buy side? 100% of the time it'll be like, oh yeah, we have an agent we talk to. I said, oh, okay. What's the agent's name? And here's what happens. They're either going to say, it's John Doe with Remax Realty over here. I'm like, yeah, because I'll say something like, I might know him because it's really a small world out there. And I'm like, John Doe Remax. No, I don't know him. Okay. Do you like him? Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. We use him for years. But here's what happens a lot of time. Ready? I don't know, honey. What is that agent's name? We used her, was like Sue, Sarah, Cindy, something like that. Oh, well, who's she with? Maybe I'll know her from the company. I don't know. It's that company, their logo, they have a big balloon. I don't know. And I said, oh, so I'm guessing you don't know her real well. You don't have a great relationship with her. As I kind of chuckle. No, we got her card and everything. And she's sending us properties. And then we just call her whenever we want to go see a property. I said, oh, okay. Well, let me ask you a question. Have you signed anything with her, or are you in the a position where I can interview for an opportunity to represent you as a buyer's agent? Well, what are you talking about? I don't know what that is. So, and again, now it's where I go into, you ready? For everybody who's legally listening in from the commission, all this is where we talk about working with real estate agents. So if somebody's about to say, when are you going to bring that up? Money and motivation, here we go. It's right there. So when you're out there.
And the key thing too is to add to that, everybody. There's two key things he said. Because most agents don't do this. They say, hey, I got to do, I'm already working with an agent. It was a very nonchalant too. The key script question is, oh, it's awesome. What's the agent's name? Maybe I know him. And then they're hemming and hawing or what, but you're diving deeper and you out-scripted them. Then when they don't know their name, and majority of them don't, it happens in FSBOs and expires all the time, guys. All the time this happens. Okay, well maybe what firm do they work for? Maybe I know them by the firm. Well, blah, 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 blah. Like you're out-scripting them. And now what happens inside the person's brain, two things either take place. Frustration of how the hell did I get out of here? Or this person's good. Like, yep. Wow, they know what they're talking about here. And they will naturally start opening up their conversations. And just like it is with Mike, all right, well, did you sign anything? And then the key ingredient. So there's the second question. Did you sign anything? Most of the time they say no because they already don't know their name and they don't know their firm. So now they have to say no. They didn't sign anything because they would sound dumb if they said, oh yeah, I signed something. And then, somebody like, oh, wow, be careful because you signed something. You don't even know their name. Like, who does that? So they're not going to say no. So now you set them up. It's a layup now to say, well, I'd love to have an opportunity to interview for the buyer agency position.
And earn your business. When you ask somebody, will you give me an opportunity to earn your business? 999 out of 1,000 agents never ask the question. I would like an opportunity to earn your business, not give it to me. Let me earn it. And I've had people say things like, well, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do differently? I said, I tell you, I have one lady specifically, it just pops into my head. This was well over a year ago. And I've now since gotten one referral, and she's talking about buying a different house. She likes change houses like we change toilet paper. But anyway, she said, what are you going to do differently? And I said, I can tell you what I'm going to do differently. I'm just asking you, give me 2 weeks, an opportunity, because she couldn't find a house. I said, let me do some searching. I have a buyer consultation form, filled that all out. And I said, and here's what's going to happen. in 2 weeks, I'm going to send you properties and show you what's available. And then I'm going to call you in 2 weeks. And you're either going to answer my phone call or ignore it. I'm not going to call you again. If you don't take my phone call and talk to me, then that means, hey, you don't want to do it. I don't want to put any pressure on you. So I was really disappointed. I called her in 2 weeks. I got voicemail. I left a voicemail, but she called me back and said I couldn't get to the phone. And she said, Mike, yes, you've worked harder than that other agent did. She had never signed a buyer agency agreement. Boom, we did it. We sold it. We got it. So it's follow up, follow up, follow up. You can get the leads, but if you're not going to do the follow up steps and earn that business, then don't waste your time doing it.
Yep. No, so true. So true. So we got through that, and then now's when you do you do the whole signage thing where you say signing here, we're
So
going
usually what
green.
will happen, here's what happens. See, okay, great. So I say, so what do you think of the house? And most people are like, yeah, it really doesn't work for me. So I said, okay, what was it you didn't like? And they're going to say it didn't have enough square footage. So here's the thing I do. On my laptop, I have tabs across this top. They're all exactly the same. I do this at every open house. The very right-hand tab is the MLS sheet of that house that we're in. The next tab is the tax records of the house they're in. The next tab is a CMA of that subdivision, of houses that are for sale in that subdivision. And the next 1 or 2 tabs are like houses in that subdivision. So I come over to the computer and I say to them, oh, so this house, it wasn't big enough for you, or the yard wasn't big enough. So I kind of lean over to the laptop and I say, well, hey, let's take a look at this tab right here. This house is for sale in the neighborhood. And let's see, it's got a little bit bigger lot, or this one over here. And I've always tried to get 2 that are go-in shows. This market is tight, it's tough. But this is where I say to them, what do you think about this house? And of course, people are gonna be looking at pictures like, wow, it looks interesting. And then I say, would you like to go see it? Now, ready? I get my last one done. It'll be at 7:00. I can meet you there at 7:30 tonight because I've already checked. It's a go-in show. So if they say, sure, if it's okay with you, sure, hold on right now. I'll type it right in. Yes, we are confirmed for 7:30. I'll meet you at the house at 7:30. So that's how I do it here. Because if they say, well, I didn't see any of those 2 I like either. I didn't see anything in the CMA because they're worried about the price. How about the subdivision across the street? I can do a quick search on that for you, and I can text you later, email you. Would that be interesting? Oh, it would be? Okay, let me get your information. So what's your email information and what's your phone number again? Now I go through the email, I'll text you, I'll do whatever. That's how you get that information from them.
And you noticed Mike, what he does is most agents do this. Hey, welcome. Can you please sign this? Okay. That mentality is selfish. That's because you personally are trying to get their information right away. You didn't build anything. So how many people are going to say right away, yeah, let me give you my personal contact information. I don't even
So
know
you
you
can
from Adam.
start spamming me with emails and
Yeah.
spamming me with texts. No, it doesn't work.
And they won't. And so a lot of agents, and hopefully there's a lot there that eventually listen to this because sometimes I always say my buddy and I talk all the time. Sheehan and I talk like, you know what? Thank God everybody doesn't do what we do because it'd be a lot. We'd have to work twice as hard because everybody would be doing the same thing we do. So like,
Just gave all my secrets up. There you go.
yeah, it's just like we know like less than 10% do it, but hopefully you guys do it. But here's the thing, guys, like you got to do it the right way because then it's going to make your job so much easier because when you give them value and you say, hey, well, you know what, actually the house over here, yep, it looks like it's available and I could see it. I just, would you mind? I just need to get your email and I could text it to you. Now they're like, well, yeah, here you go. Here is my email. Like the email and the information, it's so much easier when it comes time for this. I was doing a for sale but an expired and she still emailed, hey, Brock, do you have that list? You said you were going to send me over that list. Like now they're asking me to like get their stuff. And I'm just like, well, I haven't had time or whatever my situation is, but it's just like, now they're begging me for it. And I'm like, 2 days ago, you told me to go fly a kite. And now you're like, hey, where's my stuff? Because you give value to people and people are attracted to value of what you have. And when you do that, it makes your open house so much easier. So last about minute or so here, Mike, in general, you're a new agent or you're an agent that's coming from outside the area and you're a veteran agent. Open houses. We know the open houses are going to start to get more and more. We're all seeing signs, or those that are in the business. Realistically, guys, and we don't say this, like Mike's in the top 12% in North Carolina and South Carolina business because we know his numbers show it. Two, 12% of real estate agents out of the 15,000, 12% are the only ones doing the business. It is the hardest market that we've seen. People be like, I don't get it, Brock. We see we see signs that move so quickly all the time. Yeah, they move so quickly, and only the 12% of the agents are the ones that are doing it because most people could sell their house on their own. Okay, those times are starting to end. FSBOs are taking a lot longer. Expireds are starting to come back. So we weren't seeing expireds, and FSBOs can sell their house on their own, and people are using the MLS for the discount brokerage, doing those firms, and those times are ending. Open houses are going to start to come back. So top agents like Mike, you're going to have to know how to do an open house because the buyer's market, and how many buyers have you put on the market the last 30 days? 4, 5?
I did 2 on Monday, so probably 4 in the last 30 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
The buyer
buyers.
market. Yeah. The buyer's market, guys, is starting to, it's going to start to transform, and you won't be fighting multiple offers as much. Here comes my assistant. So with that being said, Mike, in the last concluding part here, for those people in the open houses new, trying to establish themselves and get themselves an extra 5 to 7 deals a year, what do you say to them? What do you say to them about open houses and what to do?
Here's what I would say. It's more of a philosophical oversight. So in 60 seconds, what you got to do is you got to pick what works for you. For me, it was open houses. If yours is dialing, if yours is door knocking, if yours is your sphere, but whatever it is, you have to do it consistently. I talked to one guy who said open houses don't work. And I said, why do you say that? He said, because the year before that, when I was talking to him, he said, I did 10 open houses and never got one good lead. I said, 10 open houses over what period? He said, over a year. I said, dude, I do 5 in a weekend. You did 10 in a year and you expected results. And first of all, you're not practiced enough. Whatever you do it consistently. You'll get good at it and your conversion rate is going to go up. But this is not something you're going to go out next week, do 5 open houses and say, why didn't I get a closing on it? It's not hard, but it's like philosophically in life. You got to keep doing the same thing over and over, and the numbers work themselves out. The numbers don't lie. So it's just a numbers game. If you're not going to put in the work, you're not going to get the results. If you put in the work, look at me. I'm nobody special. I'm no great salesman. I'm no great anything. I'm just an average guy who's just learned how to do the same thing over and over and over. So when somebody asks me a question, it just comes right off. I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. Pretty much nobody can throw something at me in an open house I ain't heard, seen, or did before. So.
No, and I definitely agree with you. It's the work. I was telling Reggie the other day is like a lot of people just don't do open houses because it's work on a weekend. And nobody wants to work on a weekend. The mindset is like, no, weekends are time off. But when you're a commission-based employee, you got an employee, like you're your own employee, you're 1099, you got to work on it yourself. And so the key ingredient is it's the sign placement. It's putting in the extra time before you get to your 2-hour open house. And that's what's going to generate that extra business that you have there. So in conclusion with my little man here, Bryce, you're driving me crazy right this second, buddy. I will, buddy. Mike, I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate everybody's patience dealing with my little man here. If you guys got any questions for Mike personally, if you guys have been like, hey, this guy Mike knows what he's talking about, and you've been thinking about doing open houses, please text us in here. Let us, Bryce. I'm very sorry, everybody. Text us, put us in direct message. You can direct message me, Mike Kastner. You can find him on Facebook. Every once in a while, he gives us a little Facebook insight. But feel free to reach out to us and make any comments you like on here. If you know a nanny that would like to watch Bryce, let me know. No, he's good. Well, we got a couple. He's got nap time. I should have scheduled this during nap time, but I didn't know. Mike, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. My name is Brock Zevan. If you guys need anything from us, let us know. We want to help you. We are looking for more agents, and I promise you, Bryce won't always be like this.
See ya.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man. See you guys.